Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment.
It's not just the music, you got to introduce
You
this.
have to do it.
Oh, for goodness sake. This is the JGB Sports episode number 2. I thought that was the end of the intro. I didn't know you were going to keep going. JJ, I know you asked how many people had actually listened. I looked on SoundCloud because that's all we can actually see. 60 people have listened on SoundCloud already. I was like, whoa, that's pretty impressive.
I could definitely see it on YouTube because
It's not on YouTube.
you can put it on YouTube.
I
and
can
I can
put it-
show you, Dad.
I can put it on YouTube, but it's not on YouTube. Somebody has to put it on YouTube. I used to put them on YouTube when I did the MGB wrestling podcast. But no, this one, on the network, this goes out to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. There's like a whole group of different things it goes to. So we don't know how many people listen on that, but already it far exceeded our expectations. I was going to put a post as we were releasing it. Welcome to the lowest listened to podcast on the Visionaries Global Media. But no, it's... It kind of, people listened, we promoted it, people liked it on Twitter as well. A lot of people from Coppin State actually liked it as well, so we definitely appreciate them. Now, I did think between episode 1 and 2, though, about where the show is going to go and a few ideas for this. One thing I think that's probably going to be important is a lot of people who are going to listen to this don't know anything about baseball at all.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of listeners from England, and they don't really watch baseball very much over there at all. So I think it's going to be important whenever possible to try and include history of the game, basic rules, and things like that. So if people are prepared to listen to us, we don't want to go too complicated on them. We don't want to talk about the ERA and the OPS, and they'll be like, huh?
What are the...
There we go. So that might be a little segment we can talk about as well. Perhaps I can find some important things each episode that you need to learn to make you a little bit more knowledgeable about baseball. So, do you want those as your first? Do you want that as your first one then today? ERA. So ERA is your earned run average. So that's for pitchers, and it's basically how many runs you give up every 9 innings. So if you have an ERA of 9, it means you give up 1 run every inning, because that would be 9 runs over 9 innings. So the lower the number, the better you are. If you had an ERA of 0, it means you didn't give up any runs at all.
But what if you had an ERA of 10 seasons and it was a 0?
That would be impossible. That means that you'd never give up a run. Well, I guess if you're a reliever, it's possible that could happen. But no one has an ERA of 0 after a certain number of games anyway. Like, you might start with giving up no runs. We saw some pitchers, like if you're at the start of the season, like some of the relievers who were coming in, and our review today is going to be of the Orioles Brewers game. So one of the relievers who was coming in had an ERA of 0. He'd only pitched like 1 inning so far. So all it meant is he came in for 1 inning, didn't give any runs, and then he went back into the bullpen. So it is possible to do that. It's also possible to have an ERA of ridiculously high as well. It's possible to have an ERA of infinity. If you come in and you give up a run and you don't get any outs at all, then your ERA is infinity.
So they'll just put the infinity sign up?
I don't know how they do that, actually. That's a good question for the scorers.
Unless they use, unless they just use a, pad. Like, you know those, drawing tablet things?
Not exactly.
That you can, put up onto you use your hand to draw with it.
Oh, okay.
With the
so
pen, but it, goes up onto a computer.
Uh-huh.
You could probably do that, and then they would just put the infinity symbol.
That's our best chance of finding out. You got to go for the, not the starting game of the season, because they've got to at least played an inning, or not an inning, they've at least got to have faced some batters, and they've got to at least given up some runs, and then the next time they come in. I don't know. I'm kind of curious on that one. I'd like to know. I'd pop so hard if I saw that there was an infinity symbol up on the screen. I'll be taking a picture of that straight away. Now, we're recording early this week, mainly because we went to the game on Wednesday, and also we're going to a game on Saturday as well, and I didn't want to get too confused.
Wait, what game on Saturday?
Virginia. Oh, episode 3, spoiler coming up here. VCU versus Richmond Spiders. Because we're going down to
yeah, I
Richmond
forgot.
anyway. So I said, hey, do you want to go see a game down there? And you're like, yeah. And we forgot Mason's actually available. He doesn't have a lacrosse game this weekend either, so
Aw.
he can come down. I mean, he wants to go to the wrestling match as well. So I wanted to record early. And,
I guess he can also help them.
he might be able to help. We're going to King's Dominion as well today, so I was like, hey, look, we need to record this now. And I'd totally forgotten. Now, April 15th might not mean much to you, but it's actually a very important day. Now, I know we did in This Week in Baseball, and it could have gone there, but I think this is too important not to include at the start of the game. This is Jackie Robinson Day today. So actually, before I go into my thing,
I didn't know that.
I know you didn't know that. So before I go into that, then what can you tell me about Jackie Robinson?
He was he was a good player in baseball, and he was the first African American in the MLB.
Okay. Do you know which team he played for or anything like that?
The only team I know that he played for was the Dodgers, I think.
The Dodgers, yeah. Which Dodgers? Jammy Dodgers?
No.
Which Dodgers?
The team Dodgers.
Which Dodgers?
I don't remember what state.
Well, do you know what team? Do you know what the Dodgers are right now?
No.
It's the Los Angeles Dodgers. But when Jackie Robinson played, it
It was
used to be
somewhere up north. I think.
well, for most, yeah, it was. It was the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Yeah.
When he played there. Now, I was interested actually. I said we might have to get Mason down for a cameo on this one as well. I think when in 4th grade, you could talk about any African American for one of his projects, and some people I think did Jackie Robinson, and they might even talk about it in class. He actually knew that wasn't true, and I thought you might remember as well. There was a player actually before.
Yeah, he
that.
was. So he was the second.
Technically, Jackie was the second. Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember the other player?
Moses Fleetwood Walker.
Oh, I got to get a high five on that one. Very nice.
He was a catcher.
Oh, I didn't remember that side of it at all. Yeah, I know that he.
Wait, did people who are not batting, did they just not wear a hat or padding and stuff?
They didn't used to wear a helmet in those days for sure. They wore hats, I believe. I don't know if you had to wear a hat. They definitely didn't wear helmets. Helmets didn't come in really until around after 1920. Because
They
we
should
went
make,
to
like, all-
whose gravestone did we go to this summer?
We went to.
You forgot his name. You've actually been twice because I couldn't
Oh yeah,
go.
because Dad couldn't go. I
couldn't
forgot
go,
why.
Because I was back at school. I had to report in for something, so I wanted to go on the 100th anniversary of Ray Chapman's death to go see his gravestone. I'd planned it for years.
We
started school.
It hit his head and he died like on the field.
It did, yeah. The balls used to be a little dirtier, and he used to throw a spitball and things like that. And
Hit his head
He didn't
and
see it. Hit him in the head, and he died on the field. So after that, people started to wear helmets more to be a little bit safer. Yeah.
They probably made it a rule that you had to wear a helmet.
It is now. It is now. It didn't used to be. Like if you see when you used to be really big on NHL when you were probably around 3, 4, 5 that time, and we had a huge book, and there was players in the 60s who were playing hockey without wearing a helmet, which to me is insane. Like if you fall and crack your head on the ice, that's bad. You get a puck in the face, that's really bad because they have the
Yeah, the only the goalies I think would.
The goalies didn't even used to wear masks originally. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
People are slap.
Well, first of all, they do hit the puck at 30 miles per hour.
It goes a bit more than 30. You already said
million?
this. Not a million, somewhere between those two numbers. We
on
can
the
narrow it down a
TV,
little bit.
it looks
I
like
think
it's
you can
going 30 miles per
I
hour
think you can
on
slap
the
it at 100.
on the ice, but when it's in the air, it looks like it's
You
60.
told me Usain Bolt can run about that. He's about 26, 27 at his top
28.
speed. 28, okay. So you think a puck goes as fast as a runner? No, it goes way faster than that. They can hit it
60.
like 100. They can hit it like 100. You don't have time to react to it so quick.
Sometimes, in baseball, it looks like it's way slower, but it's
sure.
actually really fast.
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, no, I would say it's. I think it's similar speeds to baseball pitch.
Yeah.
I was watching a part of the Red Sox game the other day, and I think it was Eovaldi was pitching. He threw 100, which there's not many who can get to that. That's kind of tough numbers.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to do that in Wii as well. In the Wii baseball.
I would hope so. Otherwise, it would be a little bit ridiculous.
I think we only have 2 characters that can pitch that fast.
Okay, that's probably about right. There's not many who can.
Yeah, and also I tried to train a character. I called him Taco Cat Wii, I think.
Okay.
And I was planning on just leveling him up by myself, but Mason for some reason decided to use that character.
And he stole your character.
Yeah, and so me and Mason both created a character that looked as close to us as we could, and we both used that character. And I think Mason used mine once.
And that character could throw 100?
No.
Oh, okay. Now, my favorite stat about people who can throw 100 miles an hour is Craig Kimbrell, who used to play for the Braves. I think it's Craig Kimbrell. When he was younger, like probably around Mason's age, he broke his arm. So he couldn't play that season, but he was so crazy about baseball, he just started to use his other arm, and then he became left-handed. He just carried on playing left-handed. He could throw 100 miles an hour with his wrong hand. It's like, whoa, that's absolutely crazy as far as I'm concerned. That was a pretty impressive one. Back to Moses Fleetwood Walker.
Yeah.
The reason that his name probably is not as famous was he obviously this is before
1800s.
Yeah, this is
1890s.
1890 something. So this is way before the National League, way before the American League, and Cap Anson, who came onto the field, said, "Yeah, we're not playing. We're not going to play. If he's on the field, we're not playing." So I think he left for that game. Actually, he might have played that game, but I think they were like, "Well, if he leaves, then we're not playing a game, and you're not getting paid or anything." So he might have played that game. I can't remember because it's a long time since I read that story. But then after that, it kind of became an agreement that people were going to go, "We're not playing if he's on the field."
Baseball was created in England.
The origins are supposedly in Cooperstown. Cooperstown will be a good chat for another day, I think. But there's parts of it from England, for sure.
Yeah.
But supposedly it's Cooperstown, New York. But that'll be a good discussion. The origins of baseball will be a good discussion for another day. So anyway, back to Jackie Robinson Day. Wow, we got a lot of stuff just from that one. The tangents on our podcast are always my favorite a little bit when we chat about things I don't know that we can chat about. So this year's celebration marks not just the 75th anniversary of Jackie's debut, but also the 25th anniversary of then Commissioner Bud Selig's announcement that Robinson's number 42 would be retired across MLB. This is from MLB.com this morning. 10 years after that landmark decision, Ken Griffey Jr. requested and received permission to wear number 42 on Jackie Robinson Day. I'm going to be asking you a question about Ken Griffey Jr. later when we get to our Orioles review.
Oh, yeah.
And a few other players took part. And in 2009, the practice of every player, coach, and manager wearing number 42 on April 15th became a new tradition. That tradition will continue this year, but with a twist. In honor of the 75th anniversary, not only will all on-field personnel wear number 42, but that 42 will be featured in Dodger blue, regardless of a team's colors. So yeah, if you suddenly made it to the majors, Jackson, and you were like, "Hey, can I be number 42? The answer is no. Nobody can wear 42 now. The people who wore 42 were allowed to wear it until they retired, and then nobody else on that team could wear it again. So one of the last players was Mariano Rivera, who used to play for the Yankees. In fact, on a stadium tour I did one time, they actually said that no one in the major leagues wears number 42. And the Brit put his hand up quietly and mentioned Mariano Rivera. And they were like, "Oh, I didn't know that one." And actually, after Mariano Rivera retired, I heard that on another tour, someone said, nobody in organized baseball wears number 42. And once again, I put my hand up. The Potomac Nationals had a third base coach who wore number 42. So he might have actually been the last person in organized baseball to wear 42. He could go on for longer because he's a third base coach. Like, you're not playing, you're just sending the signal, so you can go for a little bit longer. All right, some of the things that are happening today. In New York, 7:30. You got something to say? Go on.
So when you said Ken Griffey Jr., yesterday we went to a thrift store and Mason got a card that was a Ken Griffey Jr. And he couldn't remember he couldn't depict what the price was because some people were selling it for 1 cent.
He thought it was worth like 80 to begin with because he saw somebody trying to sell it for 80, and then he also
someone
saw someone
did 200, I think.
On the eBay and things like that, people, if you're prepared to pay that, they'll sell it to you. Hey, I'll sell you this piece of paper on the floor for $500. You'd be crazy to pay it, but if you want to pay it, I'll sell it for that much for sure. So yeah, we're not quite sure. It's a nice card anyway, even if but he only paid $3 for the whole thing. He told me he had the whole American League All-Star set from that particular year. So I think he got a bargain anyway. Whether it's as valuable as he hoped it was, I don't think it matters. I think he had a nice set. So at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time in Times Square Pedestrian Plaza at 44th Street and 7th Avenue, Griffey, Rivera, Torre, CC Sabathia, Willie Randolph, and Butch Husky, a lot of those are former Yankees, will be on hand as up to 50 kids represent each of the 5 New York City boroughs will participate in a special play ball, baseball and softball event.
I'm gonna do it.
It's in New York, and they started an hour ago, so too late. And you're not from New York anyway. Programs will include Brooklyn's Bed-Stuy Sluggers, Manhattan's Dream Charter Schools, the Bronx Castle Hill Little League, an RBI program, Staten Island's Mid-Island Little League, and
RBI.
Queens Greater Allen AME Cathedral of Queens. So I thought I'd mention this. Obviously, our first review talked about play ball, and when I saw this as well, linked in, I was like, all right, we got to put this at the start. Following the play ball event at 9:30, Manfred, Pankey, and Griffey will be among the speakers at a news conference in Duffy Square, during which New York City street signage temporarily renaming a portion of 42nd Street as Jackie Robinson Way. The signage will be officially placed at 42nd and Broadway in the afternoon, and then we'll head to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown following Jackie Robinson Day. All right, I got one problem with this straight away. Why temporarily? Why are they just putting a sign up for one afternoon? That should be permanent.
Yeah.
I think that should be permanent. I think that should permanently be Jackie Robinson Way.
No, I think that whatever street he was born on, that street should be renamed to Jackie Robinson Street.
Now I'm actually going to get
road or
now I'm going
whatever
to get to where he was born in a little bit. At noon, they will attend the Empire State Building lighting ceremony, and the world-famous tower will feature blue and white lights with a number 42 rotating on display. At noon, I would have thought it would have been too bright. I don't know how powerful those lights are, but... in Los Angeles, Jackie's widow Rachel, who turns 100 this year. Jackie died, I think, in 1972, 74. I think it was 74, actually. I think it might have been in the Hall of Fame in 72. So he died kind of a long time ago, but his wife's still around. We'll be in attendance at Dodger Stadium, where the Dodgers will take on the Reds. Prior to the game, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts will bring his entire team to the Robinson statue that resides in the main center field entrance. Now, I literally looked at this minutes before we were recording, because I wasn't actually looking for this. I forgot it was Jackie Robinson Day. I went to Dodger Stadium. I do not remember seeing Jackie Robinson statue. I'm going to have to look. I remember I went to one, but I didn't remember it was Jackie Robinson there. I'm going to have to look back at my pictures, and then next week I can say if I actually saw that statue or not. And if not, I guess I need to go back over to Los Angeles because I want to see that.
Me too.
His place where he was born, Cairo, Georgia, where Robinson was born on January 31st, 1919, will have a special visitor on Jackie Robinson Day, the World Series trophy. The Braves are sending their 2021 prize on a road trip so the kids at the Jackie Robinson Boys and Girls Club of Cairo can enjoy it. And in a unique call to action to the youth baseball and softball community, MLB has provided guidelines to have community leagues, including those in MLB and minor league club markets, Little League, reviving baseball in inner cities, Pony Dixie, Ripken and other leagues, play a total of 42 innings over the weekend of April 15th, 17th. Leagues will share content of their games using the hashtag Jackie42 on social media, and many will be recognized on @Playball on Twitter and Instagram and @Playball.org. I didn't know @Playball was even an account on Twitter, so I'm going to add that to our little list for when we're looking for stuff. But that might be an interesting one to take a look at before we get to that next episode as well. And one final thing, last week on episode 1, we talked about the first female manager in the majors. In organized baseball. I also saw on April 12th, History Tonight in San Francisco, as Alyssa Nakken becomes the first woman to coach on the field in an MLB game as well. So I thought that was an important one to mention for this one. Alright, JJ, sit up. This is where you have to do your main part. This is the review of the Orioles game. But before that, we always talk about what we did on the day as well. So, where did we go to first in Baltimore?
We went to Fort McHenry.
We did. And what's special about Fort McHenry? Why did we want to take you there?
Well, I don't know why we wanted to go.
You watched the video. They told you the history. You read all the signs as you were walking around.
Oh, yeah.
So why?
But I also knew most of the stuff about it before anyway.
Okay, so
but I still like it because I haven't seen it, but I have heard the story. Okay,
most people who are listening to this have no idea what Fort McHenry is, I'm going to guess. Okay, so for people in England, because I didn't know what Fort McHenry was when I was in England. It's only because once I moved over here and I heard about it, I went to visit it.
Well, first of all, they should teach about Fort McHenry anyway in England because England was involved in the War of 1812.
We tend not to talk about the wars we lost. We tend to focus on the ones we won. You got to remember, England has a long history long history. So we have castles that go back over 1,000 years. Well, royal family goes back over 1,000 years. So it's difficult to include all the history anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So American history is a little easier to do.
Because it's only like 400 years long.
It's not been around as long, so it's a little easier to cover that stuff.
But actually, it's kind of like 300 years because it was in because it
when it became independent.
Because there was just like because it was only at the time it was only just the colonies.
Yeah. Independence is coming up to its 250th anniversary in 4 years' time. I'm going to guess they're going to do something pretty big for that. That might be our time to go into DC. We don't normally go into DC on Independence Day. I'm going to assume it's going to be absolutely crazy, but I think if we ever wanted to do it, I think the 250th anniversary would probably be a good one to do. I'm guessing. So, Fort McHenry then. So, as they're not teaching it right now in England, how about you be the teacher? Tell England about Fort McHenry.
Okay, so Fort McHenry is basically like a star-shaped fort that has a lot of stuff dug up by Earth. Like, Earth was dug up a lot, and they put a lot of cannons on the outside. And in the middle, there's
they made it look like a fort?
Yeah, there's like 100 foot tall, like, flagpole.
Yeah.
With, the original flag from that time. And also, you can go inside of Fort McHenry. It's just, like, 3 or 4 long buildings.
Yeah. Include like the barracks.
And I also like the bomb proof because you could just turn off the light and then put all your prisoners in there, and then they would just go mentally insane.
We went inside one of the cells where somebody was held, and it was ridiculously small. It could only have been about 7 or 8 feet long.
I would have
liked
it.
Couple of feet wide, and it wasn't very tall, and there was nothing there.
Well.
They talked about the fact that they didn't have toilet facilities. They had a barrel that they emptied out. They slid the food under like a tiny gap, and there was no light in there at all. It would have been horrible.
I could have just slipped through the bars.
Okay, but what's special about Fort McHenry specifically? All these forts have everything that you've talked about so far.
Well,
they all have flags. They all have cannons.
Well, it was the birthplace of the Star-Spangled Banner. And also, the people of Baltimore were like, we're going to die.
And
then everyone in Fort McHenry were like, we're going to live.
Well, yeah, Fort McHenry stopped the Brits getting to Baltimore.
And then England just went like...
And then retreated.
Died.
And
then retreated with only like 1 person.
I don't know about that. I don't know about
0 people.
No, that's not true. But yeah, they had a 25-hour battle, not 24 as you said. They would have just said a day if that was true. 25-hour battle. It was raining on the video, on the recreation we saw.
A day and an hour.
A day and an hour, correct. And yes, the flag over there is the original Star-Spangled Banner. But you're missing somebody really important about this in this story. You're not going to tell us about Francis Scott Key? Do I have to do this part of the story?
He was on an English ship.
He'd been captured, yeah.
And he was like, okay, the flag is up above Fort McHenry.
Because at that point,
he was like,
at that point, he wasn't sure who'd won. He wasn't sure if the Brits.
Yeah, there was a lot of fog.
Correct.
And it was raining that night.
And then the fog cleared, and he saw the American flag, so he knew American had been victorious.
Yeah. And he was like, yay, Britain got obliterated.
Okay, so why is this lawyer, Francis Scott Key, so important then? And why was...
Because he wrote this stuff.
He wrote the national anthem, I think is the words you're looking for. Yeah, he wrote the national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, and the flag that he saw was through there. And obviously now some of the lyrics make more sense to you as well. The rockets' red glare. So that was from the battle that took place and things like that.
There was a bunch of rockets. And bombs.
Yeah.
Including the A-bomb.
Bombs bursting in air, right?
Including the A-bomb.
No. Your history is way, way off of this one. So,
I know. It was like 100 years later.
We got more than that. We got to see the a little bit more than 100. Yeah, we got to see Fort McHenry. I always like going to Fort McHenry. I talked to your granny yesterday. I talked to my mom, and she said, "Oh, I love Fort McHenry." I was like, "Oh yeah." The part that I like is they show you a film,
Yeah, and then the thing comes up.
And then towards the end, the screen goes up. You can see the fort in the distance.
And
you
then
can see
they
the
start
flag,
singing the thing.
and you start singing the anthem. And I had to.
From the cannon that was in there, I could not see the flag, so I was just standing there. And
Oh, you were at the corner, yeah. I could see it where I was. I had to get up because I was sat on the floor and take my cap off. I was a bit slow. I was enjoying watching it come up, and I suddenly realised, people were singing along with it. I don't sing the anthem because I'm obviously not American, but I always stand
I
and
don't
take
sing
my
it
cap
at
off.
all. I don't.
That's fine. You don't have to. I actually don't mind singing it at baseball games. I kind of like singing it there. All right, then we went to the Maryland Zoo. Probably not much to talk about there. Anything particular from the Maryland Zoo?
Well,
There was
a lot
one
of
animal you got to give a high five
every single bird was inside, which was annoying.
But
I could do the flamingo poses.
The increase of avian flu was high, so yeah, they'd taken the animals inside. The polar bears that we really enjoyed last time, they'd gone to a bigger zoo, so we didn't get to see them either. The grizzly bears were hibernating. So
there was
a lot of
one
things we didn't
singular
see.
bald eagle over there, and then there was also like they should add elephants.
They had elephants.
Where?
Oh my gosh, we walked right by them. You said, "Oh, I can see them, so I don't need to walk any closer." So I guess you were just being lazy then.
Oh yeah.
You didn't want to walk down. You're like, "I can see them. That's good."
They should have. I wish the monkeys were more active then, cause they didn't give us high fives like last.
No, who did give you a high five?
They should have the same monkey. And he was like,
well, it was a baby
high five.
when we went last time, so I'm sure that baby's grown up a little bit since we last went. So, yeah, if there's no babies this time, then they're perhaps not quite as playful. You did get to give the crocodile a high five. There was like a baby.
So I put my hand on the
black
glass,
crocodile.
and then he put his hand there.
And you said it was a high five. Sure, we'll cut you some slack. And then we...
I could have got a high five from a turtle as well.
You could have done. Now, the zoo closed kind of early. It closed at 4, which I didn't know about until the day of. I thought it closed at 5, so we had a bit of time to kill for the Orioles game. And there's 3 disc golf courses right outside, so I was like, perfect. We were going to go to hole 1, but it was a little busy, so we just jumped straight to hole 9 because that was near where we were. And yeah, we played 10 holes there. And you want to talk about that at all?
Well, it took us a whole hour.
No, we didn't. We were there half an hour. We were there half an hour. Because the zoo, although it closed at 4, you didn't have to be out by 4. They didn't, because we did a train ride. We did a train ride right near the end, and yeah, as we were walking out, it was probably like 4:15, and by the time we got back to the car and driven there, it was like 4:30. So.
So the last 2 holes were rigged.
Yeah.
And also, the basket was too high, but I used big brain knowledge, and I jumped up and threw my disc into the basket like that.
Hole 17 had what's called an elevated basket.
I held my hand up, I jumped, and
I
I put my disc into the basket.
It was a nice course. I'd like to go back and play play the full 9, play the full 18, and perhaps play a couple of the other courses as well. It was definitely challenging, but it was fun. That's for sure.
Yeah, and also the whole the whole 18 basket, like the far one. Like, who's going to play to that?
That was in, like, an island.
Yeah.
So it was they had the cars going either side of it. So, yeah, it was kind of dangerous, like a little island. But, yeah, it would have been... You need a ridiculously high skill level. And you could easily hit cars, because they were parked around there as well.
I wonder if anyone...
Cars going along the street as well, so...
I wonder if anyone got a hole in 1.
Don't know. Anyway, we went to the Orioles. We parked up around the Raven Stadium.
Boo.
Mason was wearing his Lamar Jackson jersey, so we got pictures with the Ray Lewis statue.
Boo.
And with the Johnny Unitas statue. Oh my gosh, I couldn't remember who the quarterback was. I said it was, I can't remember who I said it was.
I said it was Lamar Jackson.
Oh, I said it was Broadway Joe. I thought it was Joe Namath. I don't know why I'm thinking that. I know he's Jets, but yeah, totally forgot about Johnny Unitas. You asked if it was Lamar Jackson. I said, not yet, but possibly in a few years' time. We got to the stadium, we lined up, gates weren't open. Yeah, I thought the gates opened an hour and a half before. I guess it was just an hour before, so we had to wait for a little bit. Before the game, you wanted to do all the fun stuff in the stadium, so because you didn't remember going to the stadium before. So what fun stuff did you do before you went in?
So I went into the bouncy castle, which was really deflated. I did a pitching game, which I got 3 out of 6, and then the next
Mason only got 3 out of 6 as well, and he was slow throwing his to make sure he made some as well. So yeah.
And also and for the home run game, that was like I didn't get anything.
That looked easier, but yeah. Anyway, it is what it is. You missed something before you went straight in. We didn't go straight to the games. We did 2 things.
Oh yeah.
Before we went to the
Also,
games.
they should just make it so that like there's a pitching and also a batting game.
They used to have them. They just don't have them anymore.
Like 2 alleys things,
They
where you can pitch,
They
and
take
there's
up a
like
lot
a
of room.
robot that can.
Well,
that
it wasn't a
hits
robot. It was a speed cam, so you could see how fast you pitched. That's what they used to do.
But they should have a robot that hits the ball, but not that hard. But not hard though, Dad. Just like enough so that it just drops.
You've been watching
like
too many
5
films.
feet. And us before.
How about they get a former player, or somebody who's not going to play on that day, get him in there?
Yeah. And also for the batting game, they make like those things that can throw the baseballs, like with the wheels, like it throw the baseball and then you hit it as hard as you can into a net.
Yeah, you could do something like that. It takes up a lot of space though. That's the problem. They got to find places to put all that stuff. So
like maybe they could add like a little like extra part like behind like where all the Orioles statue things were.
Okay.
There was also a cow.
Well, finally we get into this. Okay, the Orioles statues are on the entire opposite side, unless you're talking about the Oriole bobbleheads.
Yes.
The player statues are on the other side. There was a Chick-fil-A cow in there. That wasn't there last time.
There was also a duck.
That wasn't a duck. That was the Oriole bird.
No, there was a duck Oriole bird.
That's what the Oriole bird
Yeah, there was a yellow duck.
That's what he looked like in the 60s.
A yellow duck.
It was the Oriole bird. They had the sign that showed you all the different pictures. That's
They
what
were
he looked
all
like at that
black
time.
and orange.
I know. They changed. And there was also a playground that you played on, but after a while you're like, I did that. Oh, you don't want to talk about that.
Oh yeah, there's also a house in a log.
You challenged me to Orioles tic-tac-toe. You went first and you lost. You let me get a line straight down the right-hand side. That was pretty funny. And the game. Now, the game itself, so we had tickets on Utah Street, and it was also part of the 1992 30-year anniversary promotion. So we had $4 tickets on Utah Street. I love Utah Street. That's my favorite place to sit. And you said you were going to score for this one, and then the day of, you're like, yeah, I'm not scoring. And I was like, why? And why did you not score?
We're in the outfield.
Okay, so why didn't you score?
I couldn't even see, like, I could barely see the board.
You don't need to see the board. You can watch where it goes to.
And also for, like...
Do we need to get you some glasses?
No, and for the pitches, how am I supposed to see that?
Because the umpire puts his arm out when it's a strike, and if he doesn't put his arm out, it's a ball.
I could barely even see the umpire.
So you could... Oh, it
sounds
like we do need to get you...
Like 50 feet back.
It was, yeah. I'm not arguing with that side of it. But you could see where I said you don't have to record balls and strikes. You can just record the outs, though. You could see where the fielders were, right? That wasn't the only reason, though, because you didn't know how far we were going to be when we went to the game. So why was the real reason that you didn't want to score? What did you want to take with you instead of a pencil?
Glove.
A glove? And why did you want to take a glove?
To catch a ball. So
you
I
wanted
could
to
get
catch
my
a home run ball.
To get my baseball collection up.
I know.
And they didn't even... Oh, yeah, and also... When they finished practicing, they didn't even throw it near us.
They didn't. We were between the center field and the right
like,
and the right
fielder. I kept trying every single time. Like I put my glove up and then just
we were between center and right, so they tend to throw them where they could get them. If you think you're going to get a ball every game, you're going to be really disappointed. You can go to lots of games and never get a ball. So it's kind of tough. If you can get to batting practice, and they didn't do batting practice for this one because it was the third game in the set, then you got a much better chance of getting a ball. So I think what we need to do is we need to find one where there's batting practice, and then because also then if there's not many people around, you can like let it land and then you can just pick it up from the bleachers. So that might be a better opportunity to do that. And I said, well, that's fine. I was like, if you're not scoring, I'm scoring.
If we go to
I didn't see anybody even selling scorecards, so I couldn't even get a scorecard. So we didn't score this one at all.
So we could have gotten a baseball and hopefully got it signed by someone.
Who?
One of the players. If we saved the whole game.
None of the players were. They don't come from sign autographs after the game. They leave. They want to go shower and they want to go home. So that wasn't going to happen. So anyway, JJ, you said you couldn't remember because you didn't take notes. So I was like, well, if you're not going to score, that's kind of fine because they always publish the results afterwards. So JJ's never really kind of seen the box report before. So I'm going to kind of let him look over it so you can see what he's got. I printed out a copy for myself as well. So on the top, like, I can see each inning. I can see the runs, I can see the hits, the errors. I can see the Brewers batters, how many at-bats they had, how many hits, see their averages. I can see the same... Oh, I was going to say I can see the same thing for the Orioles, but I can't actually. Oh, I only printed out the Brewers side of this. Dang it. Dad. And then I can also see... Sorry. And then I can see the Brewers pitchers. Now, JJ, I think, if I remember correctly, as I have this on here... Oh, I don't quite have it, actually. I can actually pull up on my computer. I can pull up that result. So I'm on Wednesday... I can pull up the Orioles side and I can click on that. But you can tell us about the game though, because there was many innings where nothing actually, I don't say nothing happened, but nothing major happened. So you might be able to tell us then.
Okay.
So go on, tell us about the game.
So the first inning there was no home runs.
Yep, no home runs.
Second inning there were 2 runs from the Brewers.
Yep.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7 had no runs as well.
Yep.
8 had 2 runs from the Orioles.
So that tied it up at 2-2. Yeah.
And 2 runs from the Milwaukee Brewers on inning 9.
Yeah, and we kind of left at that point because we knew that the Orioles weren't going to come back. But the Brewers had 7 hits in the game, and the Orioles had 5 hits. And yeah, the win went to Boxberger from Milwaukee. He's 1-0 now with an ERA of 0, JJ. And the loser was Lopez, who has an ERA of 7.71. And the save went to Hader. So the Brewers are now 3-3 in the NL Central. So yeah, it was actually going a really quick game. I'm like, this game is going to be over way under 3 hours. Like, all my games I go to are 3 hours. And they were on for about 2 hours, 20 minutes, 2 hours, 30 minutes at one point. But yeah, that 8th inning took a long time because they kept changing pitchers, going out to the pitcher's mound, and there was a lot going on. So yeah, we left about 9:45, and we actually listened to the bottom of the 9th as we were walking back to the car because I had it on my phone, and yeah, we heard they didn't get. I don't think they even got a hit in that 9th inning. Okay,
so I have 4 results for 4 other games.
Okay.
So for the Washington,
No,
so for the Washington game,
uh-huh.
they had 3. Washington won 3-1.
Uh-huh.
Cleveland versus Cincinnati,
Uh-huh.
7-3.
Uh-huh.
Cleveland. And the Chicago Cubs lost 2-6. Lost 2-6 to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yeah.
New York. Well, the Phillies lost 6-9.
Which New York team is that with an M? It's obviously not Yankees.
Mets.
The Mets. And I noticed you didn't say who Washington played because you don't know who that is.
Because I don't.
ATL? You don't recognize that A?
Atlanta?
Atlanta. The Atlanta Braves, yeah. I even showed you that clip as well of that. It was the 2 games before this.
Oh, yeah.
And they were down by like 12, I think it was. So they brought in the outfielder to pitch, and he threw a 51 mile an hour pitch, and it hit the Brave player his arm, and he dived to the floor like it almost killed him. And then he just laughed, got up, and then walked to first base. That was pretty funny.
Hey, Dad.
Yeah.
So they had. So awesome. So also they forgot Oakland. The Oakland game as well.
Well, they didn't. They have it. It's just across the top. It's just not on the printout that I have. So the other games that they had on here was Boston beat Detroit 9-7. The Dodgers beat Minnesota 7-0. Arizona beat Houston 3-2. San Francisco beat San Diego 2-1, and Oakland beat Tampa Bay 4-2. Interesting on the Dodgers game, seems I mentioned it earlier. Mason was asking about, because I always look for, I hope I get a no-hitter, I hope I get a no-hitter. And the no-hitters had gone within the 2nd inning for this one. Clayton Kershaw pitched a perfect game through 7 innings, had only thrown 80 pitches, and the manager pulled him. And
why?
There's not been many perfect games. I think it's up to about 26 in history now. When I first came to the States, it was lower than that. It was probably about 15, 16. There's been kind of a lot in the last few years.
Why would they pull him?
He'd had some injuries, and he actually said, Clayton Kershaw said, he said, I knew my slider wasn't feeling that good, so it was the right time to pull me. I'm thinking he's being polite to the manager. There's no way. You just go for it. At that point, you might as well see if you can get a perfect game. And I don't think he's had a perfect game. I think he's had 1 no-hitter, but I don't think he's had a perfect game. But yeah, I know it's a long season, and you don't want to risk injury, but come on, if he can pitch 7 innings, let him pitch 2 more. I would have thought so.
Okay, so here's the stats for the Brewers. So...
You're not reading every player, are you?
I am.
No, you're not. No,
Yes.
you're not. All right, the ones I was disappointed in, I was hoping we were going to get more. Andrew McCutcheon, who used to be the Pirates, didn't have any hits. I was hoping Christian Yelich was going to get some hits because I don't think I've ever seen him play before. Hunter Renfroe, who used to play for the Red Sox, did get one hit, but he's struggling on the season right now. He's only batting 143. You can tell us who had the most hits.
So. Wait, what does AB mean?
At bats. That's how many times they came to the plate.
So, McCutcheon had 4.
They're pretty much all going to have 4 or a bit less than that because he's leadoff. So he's going to bat
And the
more than
last
else.
person with. Wait. Okay. Okay, you can read all those.
I'm not reading them all out. There's no reason to
You
read
have
them
to
all
read
out.
all of them.
No, I'm not reading them all out. I will read the pitching stats, though. The Burns, who pitched 7 innings, didn't give up any runs, and it looked like he was going to take the win. But then Williams came in to relieve him and gave up 2 runs in one third of an inning. So unfortunately, he didn't get it. And Boxberger took the win, and Hader took the save, as we already mentioned earlier. Attendance 12,000. That's not very many at all. That's a really disappointing attendance. I saw that the Orioles didn't actually make $1 million last year, so I understand COVID as well.
And
but
the Yankees, I think you said, Dad, were nearly sold out.
the Yankees game was almost sold out for today, probably because it's Jackie Robinson Day. It's the weekend as well. People like going to see them. So, anything else from this game at all, JJ?
Well, none of the baseballs came near us. So I had no chance.
They didn't. We didn't have a chance to get the ball. One thing I missed in this game, which as I was pulling up the results for this, I noticed from Baltimore, John Means entered the 2022 season with sights set on durability, not only for his own sake. He eclipsed 150 innings just once in his career, but knowing the responsibility that comes as the Orioles staff ace without a proven cavalry behind him. But an unfortunate reoccurrence has now played out. Means exited his start Wednesday against the Brewers, a 4-2 rubber match loss at Camden Yards, after just 4 innings and 51 pitches. I missed that. I thought they just pulled him. I thought they just pulled him because they were bringing in like a reliever because he wasn't doing so well. But he said he had left forearm tightness. Means is slated to receive an MRI on Thursday or Friday, and said he could test out the arm again in a few days should nothing of concern arise. The hope is it's just a muscular injury. Never felt the forearm before, Means said. It's always been little things in the shoulder. I've never felt it, and that's what worried me a little bit. But they reassured me that it's just muscle. So he left. As of time of recording, we don't know what the MRI says. But hopefully John Means is good and he can come back for the Orioles. They sure need pitching this year, so they don't want to lose one of their top pitchers.
Hey, Dad. So, instead of saying Milwaukee, the initials for the Milwaukee Brewers, it says M6. There's a
M6?
6.
Where does it say that?
There's a 6 instead of a B on the glove.
That's not a 6, that's a B.
No? See that? There's
That's
like
a B. We
no,
talked
there's
about
like-
the glove.
No, there's like a little extra part that makes it a 6, Dad.
That's the bridging on the glove to make it look like a glove, though. But it's like a hidden image. That's
No,
my
it's
favorite.
a 6, Dad.
No, it's a B. That's my favorite
6.
image in baseball. I'm glad they went back to that one because they changed it, and that image is so cool that if you look quickly, you just think it's a glove, and then when you look closer, you can see the M and the B in there.
Yeah, I can just not unsee that now. It's like one of those videos where like things you cannot unsee.
Unsee. Yeah.
And then they never put the Milwaukee Brewers things.
All right. Last week you said you wanted to do different updates on different people. So anything you already mentioned the Orioles are facing New York. Do you have any other things to tell us about the Orioles this week? Probably not, unless it's anything you picked up.
Well, I was throwing them my Orioles stuffed animal up in the air, and Dad said he got multiple concussions.
Not
It
on
was
his
only
head, on the
bruises,
concrete.
Dad.
Oh, okay.
He went up about 20 feet, I would say. Slammed on a concrete, got a bruise, but it healed instantly.
So this is an Oriole bird update. All right, Orioles at the time of recording are 1-5, and like you said, they face the Yankees. My Red Sox update.
Milwaukee Brewers are 3-3.
They are. Red Sox won the last game of the series against New York, so went into 1-2 against Detroit. Lost the first game, but won the last 2. So they're back to 3-3. They play again tonight, and their first 6 games are on the road. So 3-3 is not too bad. They're only half a game out of first place right now because everyone else is kind of trading wins and losses. Like the Rays have lost a few now. New York is facing Toronto, so it's still early in the season. Now, the other update that you said you wanted to give was Coppin State, and I think I took that copy. Where's that copy? There was another sheet. I left it up there. Look on your sheets that you got. There's 3 sheets. There was a 3rd sheet. Oh, it must have run out of paper then as I printed it out. I grabbed everything. I thought there was another copy. Where's the other piece of paper?
I only have 2.
Well, fantastic. All right. Well, I guess I'm doing the Coppin State update.
I'm gonna do it.
Too late. There's only 2. They only played 2 other games. They lost one only by 1 run, and then they won one 2-0. So the game that they lost was against Maryland Eastern Shores, I think it is, and it was a close one. It was an exciting game to see, JJ. So final score was 7-6. Maryland took the lead 3-1 after the 3rd. Coppin State came back, so it was 3-3 after the 8th. And in the 9th inning, Coppin State led off with 3 runs, so you'd think that would be good enough. And unfortunately, Maryland took 3 in the bottom of the 9th, and then Maryland won in extra innings. So there's a lot of extra inning games with Coppin State by the look of it. So they're definitely an exciting team to watch. Time of match, 3 hours, 2 minutes. They always seem to be 3 hours.
Come on, man.
Uh-huh. And that actually wasn't too far from us. That was in Salisbury. I kind of looked to see how far away it was. But now, one thing I did see on here that interested me, in the notes it says Freudenberg faced 1 batter in the 8th. Now, one of the new rules, or relatively new rules, is when you come in as a pitcher, you have to face 3 batters minimum. So you can't just bring somebody in to face 1 batter and then switch them out, which you used to be able to do. So I'm not sure in college if that's a different rule or not. So I'm going to have to try and find that out for next time. And I have an idea that you might want to do this, JJ, possibly.
What?
A Coppin State player profile. You can talk about each one. Now, I'm going to do the first one because I just saw this as it came along. But for next week, I'm going to kind of get the computer. I'm going to let you research if you want to do it. Jordan Hamburg, this is from Tucson, Arizona, received national recognition for his performance on the mound last week as a collegiate baseball newspaper acknowledged him among its 11 honorees for National Player of the Week, powered by Diamond. It is believed to be the first time that a Coppin State baseball player was awarded a weekly honor by the newspaper. A sophomore from South Plainfield, New Jersey, Hamburg, who was named the MEAC, that's their conference, pitcher of the week on Monday, tossed a 5-hit shutout in a 2-0 victory over Norfolk State on Sunday. So when we recorded, I only talked about game 1 of the doubleheader on Sunday, so this was the second game. Hamburg struck out 13 batters in the performance as he retired 10 straight Spartans and 11 of the final 14 on the day. That's pretty impressive. 13 strikeouts in 7 innings. For the season, Hamburg is 4-1 with a 2.93 earned run average on the mound, while striking out 53 people in 40 innings. Man, he's good. Hamburg is also on the watch list for the John Ulerud two-way player of the week. He's hitting .338 with 20 runs scored, 4 home runs and 20 RBIs, and he's 7 for 7 on steals. I don't know if you remember the big home run in the game that we saw.
Yeah.
That was Jordan Hamburg. So not only is he a good a good hitter, he's also a good pitcher as well. So that's somebody we definitely have to watch out for.
At least I got a baseball. I got that baseball.
That might be his. That might have been his, actually. Jordan Hamburg was also named the MEAC Baseball Pitcher of the Week, and it was announced by the league office on Monday afternoon. This is the 3rd weekly award for Hamburg this season. He's doing pretty well. But the first, he was recognized solely for his pitching. Additionally, Justin Johnson received the Rookie of the Week award for the 2nd time. All right, this week in baseball then, JJ. So this is from NBC Sports article by Alex Pavlovich from Tuesday, April the 12th. The catcher has a punch pad that is about the size of a beeper and has a dozen buttons on it. 6 of her pitches. The other buttons represent different parts of the strike zone, and by punching 2 of them, Giants catchers can call just about any combination of a 15-person pitching staff. To demonstrate how simple it is, Casali hit 2 buttons. In the other hand, a small receiver about the size of 2 fingers held together came to life. Curveball, low outside, a robotic voice said. Casali hit 2 more balls. Change up, low outside, the voice said. Casali smiled and quickly punched in a different code. Now, I couldn't see, because we were too far away from where it is, any players in major leagues now, instead of, how they used to flash signals to show where they wanted the pitch to go? It used to be the second baseman could see that, though, and then you could tell kind of the pitcher what's coming up, because the batter obviously can't see because it's behind him. They're now using codes on their arm, so they press it, and it sends a voice into your ear so you can hear it. Now, no further down in here, it says that you can use 5 of these. The catcher has one, so when they press it, they can hear, is it the right thing? And if it's not, they can kind of go, no, I don't want that one. The pitcher can obviously hear it, so they know what to throw. Who would you use the other 3? Who do you think the next 3 important people are on the field who'd get it?
It would probably be the center field.
Center field, good.
First baseman.
Uh-huh.
and shortstop.
That's exactly what Mason said, and I actually thought it would actually be the left fielder and the right fielder rather than the center fielder, because I was thinking that might decide if they throw it inside or outside. That might decide whether they hit it to the left or to the right. Not first baseman actually, but I agree that would make sense because if it's an infield hit, the first baseman. I guess the first baseman has to be ready all the time though, so I guess it doesn't matter too much.
So
you were right with shortstop, and there you go. There's one. The Giant. That's what the Giants are doing anyway. They're using the center fielder, second baseman, and shortstop, so they know where to kind of move around the infield to get there. So I thought that was kind of cool, that technology. Not all the teams are using it right now, and actually the Giants are only using it when there's a runner on second. So no, they can't steal the signals right now. For anybody else, they're just flashing down the signals as normal. The other cool thing about this was both Duval and Alvarez are native Spanish speakers, and you can toggle back and forth between English and Spanish. For someone like Duval, who has needed an interpreter during mound visits in the past, Bart and Casale can punch in a code on their wrist, and it is relayed to Duval's ear in Spanish. I was like, that's pretty cool, actually. So even if you don't speak English, you can still hear. I don't know what Spanish for curveball is or anything like that, but you can actually use that as well. So I thought that was pretty cool. It does say the strike zone on the catcher's device is for right-handed batters only, though. So Bart and Casale have to flip it in their minds when calling pitches for somebody like Wood, who would be a left-handed pitcher. A lot of people around the game believe that ultimately receivers will be worn in the dugout too, allowing managers and some coaches to relay directions as they do in the NFL. For now, the Giants are only using PitchCom on second base, but the expectation is that one day soon, every sign from the catcher is relayed through the punch pad on his wrist. Yeah, so actually managers could call pitchers soon, possibly, if they change that. So the pitcher goes, hey, this guy, I want him to... They could look up their stats while they're sitting in the dugout and go, oh, this guy's not very good on the outside corner. Tap it in. Outside corner, fastball, something like that. What do you think about that technology, JJ?
Big brain knowledge.
I bet you'd like to do that. You like pressing the buttons on the scoring thing the other day. I bet as a catcher you'd like to kind of do that as well. They said it was easier to remember.
You can slap your arm.
If you slapped your arm, then you might get a weird code. I think if you did that, it probably wouldn't relay anything. I'm assuming you can only press 2 at the same time. Now, I also saw at the same thing this week, a tweet from at Prim Awesome, which is Mike Primavera. Baseball needs an XFL version. Faster games, metal bats, only 2 outfielders, but one of them is a wolf. Now, he was kind of messing around and joking a little bit. Do you know what XFL is, JJ?
No!
It's like NFL, but they have crazy rules to try and make it more exciting. So I was wondering, is there any rules that you would introduce to make baseball more exciting then? Because I was like, you're the future of the game, so...
So they could have a all-out field. Well, the right fielder be a dog, and the catcher be a cat.
How would the right fielder throw the ball in? Oh, I guess he just put it in his mouth and run it in.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you say a cat?
A cat would be the catcher, because...
He'll get hit in the face. That'd be cruel to animals. How's a cat going to stop a 100-mile-an-hour fastball?
Oh, well, it would have one of those FBI shields.
Okay.
Like the people... And
okay, hold on. Before you carry on. Okay, is this a humans version of Major League Baseball, or is this a spin-off version just for animals?
It's all.
Okay.
If you get past first base,
okay.
Then you're out. So you have to stop on first base.
Oh, so you can't run through
And you also can't slide on the home, or else your team loses all their points, and you have to redo the whole inning.
That's a tough rule right there. So if you have animals,
and also they use footballs.
So why would you use footballs instead of baseballs? That would be easier to. I don't know. It'd be easier to hit, but it wouldn't go as far because it doesn't travel like a baseball. So we're talking about Jackie Robinson Day and being the first African American in the major leagues. So in the future, then we could have on your rules, we could have like Clifford Day, like the first dog that featured in the MLB. Is that your idea?
No, it would be kind of like a husky dog.
Oh, a husky dog. Okay.
And the right field would be covered in snow.
Why would it be covered in snow?
Because it's a husky, Dad.
Oh, okay. It's probably a good job they're not using a baseball then, because that would get lost in the snow. If a baseball landed in the snow, you'd never see it, but a football, you actually might find. Any other rule changes you'd like to introduce?
Second baseman has to be dribbling a basketball at all times.
Okay, all right.
And the pitcher, he has to wear he's gonna be naked except for underwear and a hat.
I think that's enough rules for this one. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, Manfred, if you're listening, that's what the future of baseball wants. Yeah, I think if I asked you in a week's time, you'd come up with something totally different. I knew I'd get an entertaining answer for you, which is why I asked you, of course. Now, one thing that I did realize, JJ, because remember I mentioned the fact that we just went to the Orioles we went to the Orioles first series, and because it's basically the start of the MLB season, we're already over halfway through the college season. So although you want to do updates on Coppin State, they're not playing for much longer. They're only playing for like 5 more weeks because people are leaving college. Like, they're going to graduate soon, so they have to have all the stuff early. They are going to have their conference tournament, I did see, towards the end of May. And then I think after that, leading up to the College World Series, which we talked about last week, they have, like, the NCAA tournament and some of the other tournaments. So, yeah, we're not going to be able to talk about Coppin State for too many more weeks. I did wonder, as you said, this is a sports podcast, whether you wanted a segment where we can talk about other sports as well, rather than that.
Oh, yeah, for the baseball, the third baseman can smash a guitar on the runner's head.
All right, that sounds like Jeff Jarrett. Because they would be wearing
a football helmet.
Jeff Jarrett. Okay, all right, we got you. Okay, and what do you think about that idea then? Possibility to talk about other sports as well.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I wanted to do that was specifically for this. Well, okay, as you're bringing up cricket, then I just saw this week. So I don't know if you realise the soccer, as you call it, World Cup, or the football World Cup, is actually going to be in America in 2026. So that's not too far away. I saw this week in 2024. I don't know why it's this group, but USA and the West Indies are going to host the 2020 Cricket World Cup as well. So I was like, ooh! I hope we're going to get a game like in.
I need to watch
in DC, but somebody said it sounds like it's going to be in Florida because of the warmer weather. I was like, well, that would make sense, but so that's hopefully something can come about. Well, my sport thing, because you said you wanted to talk about soccer possibly as well, is I want to talk about Liverpool.
Football.
So Liverpool won their quarterfinals in the Champions League. So did Manchester City, because I know you like them. So Manchester City's in one semi-final, Liverpool's in the other semi-final. They could easily meet in the Champions League final the way things are going. They also faced each other last week in the Premier League to a 2-2 tie. And tomorrow, at time of recording, they're also playing each other in the FA Cup semi-finals as well. So some big games coming up. And today, at the time of recording, and I'd never noticed this before, Jackie Robinson Day falls on the same day as the Hillsborough tragedy. So when I was younger, 1989, so I was a 14-year-old at this time. A lot of people at my school were big Nottingham Forest fans. And Nottingham Forest were facing Liverpool at a stadium in Sheffield, which is probably about half an hour away from where I used to live. And they used to have the big fences up there. And too many people got into the stadium, and people basically got crushed at the front. And in the end, 97 Liverpool fans actually died in that stadium. So it was like one of the worst days in soccer. And after that, they took down all the fences. So when you watch the games now, you don't see fences on English stadiums. If you look at other countries, you do still see them sometimes. It depends where you're actually at. So, yeah, I never realised the Hillsborough tragedy, which is 32 years ago, was actually the same day as Jackie Robinson Day. Probably I didn't realise because I didn't know about Jackie Robinson when I was in England. So, yeah, a few things Liverpool related this week for my other sports section. Anything you want to talk about in sports?
I have a sports game that people might like. So, there's
Is this one
game?
you've just made up?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's called Weddle.
It's called what?
Weddle.
Weddle, okay.
Weddle.
Okay.
And you have to guess, like, football players.
Okay.
So, like, you can cheat by looking at different football teams and stuff like that.
Okay.
And you can use big brain knowledge.
So what do I have to do? Do I just have to say, so do I just guess a player? So I say like Tom Brady or something?
Yeah, and then if it's like yellow, it's wrong. And also same with gray.
Do I get clues, like if it's on the right team or something?
Yes.
So is it so it's like Wordle?
Yeah.
Oh.
But with football players.
Okay.
So there's 5 things that it says. It says the division, the team, the position, the number, and the weight.
Okay.
I mean height.
Okay. All right. Is that one you've been playing on your computer?
No.
Is that what Mason's been playing?
Yeah.
Right.
And he also showed it to me.
Okay. Okay.
And I also, I'm not really that good because I don't watch football.
Yeah, I don't know enough
'cause
players to do that.
So that's why I watch YouTube. But you can also still go on to the. You can still go on to You can still also search up like different divisions and what team it's on. So you can, once you narrow down to what division it is, you can pick a team from it, and you can pick a player from it if you know what position it is. And then it will say if it's right.
Okay.
So I usually use Mason to do that part. So that's how I win.
Okay. So if you're a sports fan and you're a Wordle fan, then go check out Weddle, Weddle. I think that's right. Okay.
I think there's one for basketball, but I forgot the name.
I actually thought of doing one for wrestling, but I don't have the coding skills or anything. But I was like, oh, wrestling fans would probably like that as well.
Same with soccer.
Okay. I think that's the end of this episode, right, JJ?
Yep. Bye.